That's right. Spider-Man takes a dump in a coffee can. AVGN. Go check them out. Alright people, what's up everyone, and welcome to another movie review with your boy GorTheMovieGod. That's me. What's up? How you doing? And I, of course, am here to talk about a little movie. You might have heard of it. It's called Spidey Boy Homecoming 2. What is it called? Spider-Man Far From Home. Bam! There's the poster I just made up here by doing this. No editing. I could just do that. I'll watch. Bam! No, it's okay. You can get rid of that poster. Bam! There you go. That's perfect. Yeah. So anyway, alright. Spider-Man Far From Home. I was excited for it. Were you? I'm sure you were. It's the movie that precedes Endgame. Woo! It's the final movie, supposedly, in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it is the, I guess, not really beginning, but kind of the beginning of the new MCU, I guess. You know, the new, what do they call it? The saga, I guess, or whatever. Whatever they're doing. The future is beginning with this one, in a way, because of course it ended with Endgame. And I was excited for this. I mean, it looked pretty good. The first trailer looked fun. The second trailer looked even better, especially since it was right after Endgame, so I was still a little emotional and a little gassy. So I was looking forward to it. Forget what I just said there. I was looking forward to it. I was. And I like Tom Holland. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Mysterio is a cool villain. It should be a great movie, right? I mean, I really liked Homecoming. I thought that was a great film, in my opinion. I mean, you know, a great popcorn film, I guess. But, well, let's talk about it, okay? Because Spider-Man Far From Home, I'll say right here, I did really like it. I'm just going to tell you. I did really like it, but when I came out of the theater, I felt a little weird about it. I was just like, you know what? It is really good. It's a damn good film. Really fun. Really entertaining all the way throughout. But there was just something about it that just left me going, I don't know. There was something. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of positives for this movie. Alright? I have a couple negatives, sure. But I have a lot of positives. I even wrote them down. Here's all my positives. You want to see them? Try to read that. Huh? I dare you. Okay, here's my negatives. Can you see that? Don't try. Can't do it. I was moving too much. My camera's not good enough for you to pause and read it. Watch, you can probably read it. Anyway, I was looking forward to it, okay? And I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed this film. But there was just something when I came out of it a couple days ago, I just knew I couldn't review it immediately after seeing it, because I had to let it sit, let it settle. And I did, and because I did that, I feel a little bit more positive towards it. So, let's talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, okay? Alright, let's just get to the positives. Let's be positive first. Posy vibes, that's what I'm about, okay? Alright, so first of all, let's just say, straight off the bat, Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal both are excellent in this movie. And when they are on screen together, it actually really feels like it's trying to invoke a little bit of what you would want from I guess maybe not really a Ben Parker, but kind of what we're missing from Ben Parker not being there to teach Peter how the world works and all about, like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Tony didn't really do that. Tony was more sarcastic and stuff. Here we have Jake Gyllenhaal, and whenever he's talking to, and his name's Quentin Beck, by the way. Quentin Beck. Whenever Quentin Beck and Peter Parker are on screen and they're talking and stuff, and there's a few scenes like that, it does feel like he's kind of mentoring them in a way, and he's just like letting them know, like, hey man, you're just a kid. Just be a kid. You know, don't let Sam Jackson push you around. I know he's scary. He says motherfucker like a son of a gun, but just, you know, be a kid. So I really like that stuff. And I thought those two together, even when they weren't together, but especially when they're together, were great. And Jake Gyllenhaal nailed it as Mysterio, let me just say. Because he has a lot to do in this movie, let me just say. And he switches quite a bit when it comes to personality. And yeah, he was great. I really enjoyed Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. And of course, Tom Holland's still great. He's been in 4 of these movies at this point. Actually 5. Civil War, Spider-Man, Endgame, Infinity War, and now this, so 5. Whew, got a little thing flying around me. Alright, so Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, great. I really enjoyed the MJ and the Peter Parker relationship in this movie, even though it kind of came out of nowhere in the beginning of this movie, because it was kind of like, okay, did we just forget all about what's her name from the first movie? What's her name? I guess I forgot her name, so oops. But I guess we just forgot about the love interest from Homecoming, and here it's just like, yeah, we're like MJ. where did that come from? Out of nowhere, he's just like MJ. He just said, he pretty much tells the camera, like, I like MJ now, guys. I'm like, okay, cool. You like Zendaya, I get it, you know. But yeah, it was a little weird how it got into it, but when it got into it, like, got into the relationship and how awkward it is. It's a teen romance. It was actually pretty good. I really liked it. And I really like this version of MJ. She's fucking strange, but I really enjoy her. And Zendaya does a great job. And of course, those two together, it's charming. It's a charming little relationship. I did not care for some of the other relationships, which I'll get to in my negatives, but I really like that MJ relationship. And of course, like I said, I really like the Quentin Beck and Peter Parker relationship. So there you go. Alright, so the main cast was great, of course, but I really liked the supporting cast as well. I thought everybody did a really good job. Jon Favreau was easily my favorite of the supporting cast. I thought he did an excellent job with Happy Hogan this time. I thought he always does a great job, but here there's something about him. I guess the absence of Tony really does help here, because I felt the bond between him and Peter a little bit more. There's a lot of bonds in this movie, I should say. There's a lot of relationships that actually do work. There's a couple that don't, but the relationships do work, and the bond between him and Peter felt more like an uncle and like nephew relationship, kind of, which is funny because that might actually happen in the future, but it definitely felt like that. Like, you could tell Happy does care for Peter, and Peter likes Hogan and stuff. It was cool. It's weird to call him Hogan, by the way. I'll just call him Happy for now. So anyway, supporting cast was really good. Everybody did a great job, of course. Sam Jackson, Kobe Smulders, they all show up again. Everybody's really good. So all the kids that play, all the teenagers, of course. The guy that plays Flash Thompson, I thought was really funny. He was also from Grand Budapest Hotel. He's a really good actor. So overall, everybody did a good job. The kid that plays Ned, still funny. The special effects in this movie I thought were really good. I mean, that's not saying much because most of these Marvel movies have good special effects, but here they actually had a few scenes where I was like, you know what, the elementals look really cool here. And there's even shots towards the end where I'm just like, this looks like it's like coming straight off of a comic panel, which I know I say that a lot when it comes to these comic book movies, but I can't help it when they actually do look like they're straight out of a comic panel. Like, they're doing a good job with making these live action adaptations feel good. Like, not feel good, but feel like it doesn't feel awkward is what I'm trying to say. It feels like it's coming off of a comic panel, but in a good way, where it actually does feel real and not just like some corny ass like Sin City, The Spirit looking thing where they just straight up make it look like a comic book. I thought it was well done. The special effects are really good. There is a mid-credit scene that I do not want to spoil, but it is one of the best mid-credit, post-credit, any credit scene I think I've ever seen in my life, and it made me super happy. And let me just say this, I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you're a big fan of some Spider-Man movies in the past, you're going to really enjoy that mid-credit scene, because it's a treat, let me tell you. And one thing I will give this movie huge credit is that it really does show the potential of where the MCU could go in the future. Now, we all had our doubts at the end of Endgame, because Endgame really cleared up a lot of that stuff. It left some things open, don't get me wrong. It's not like they just closed the book on every single character, but we were still worried, like, where is it going to go? And this movie kind of shows you where it could go, and that it will be okay in hopefully the right hands, I should say. I know Kevin Feige is still the head of these movies, but hopefully they give good directors whatever movies are coming out next, like whatever the Eternals is and all these other movies. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that future. Last couple things, of course, the movie itself is really funny. You could say that about most Marvel films, but this one is definitely really funny. It actually starts off with a hilarious, I shouldn't say it has an opener that's really funny, and considering how shocking and emotional the beginning to Endgame was, this is a really funny way to start this movie. Especially it's dark in how it's funny in a way, not super dark, but I'm talking about in tone. But it was funny. I thought it was really funny. And the whole movie was pretty funny, even though at times it does get too goofy, which again, I'll talk about in a second. And the movie itself actually is, I wouldn't say unpredictable, but it has some twists and turns that I saw coming, because I knew who some of these characters actually were. But I will say the way they present those twists are really, really good. And I really like how they not presented them, but how they implemented them into the plot. So I really, really liked some of the twists and turns, some of the unpredictability, especially if you're not a huge fan of Spider-Man at all. You might not even see some of this shit coming. So it's good. I thought it was good. So now let's get to the negatives. And this is the thing. when I left the movie, I kind of had the same feeling as Homecoming for when it comes to the action. Because the action of Homecoming, I didn't really love. I thought, for the most part, it was kind of whatever. It didn't really use Spider-Man's abilities as much as I hoped they would. And they kind of relied too much on, like, the new suit that he had, which was kind of annoying. Here, they don't really rely on the suit that much, but I will say that it doesn't really rely on his spider abilities that much either. At least I don't feel like it. There's a couple times where he uses his spider sense, or as they call it in this movie, the Peter Tingle, which, that's funny. But, it is funny. But, it just, there's something about the action. Like, the special effects are good and stuff. I just don't... There wasn't anything that made me go, whoa, or whatever, or even made me go, cool. It was just more like, it's just going through the motions. To be honest, I'd rather have had all the high school drama and the relationships than any of the action. And there is plenty of action, especially towards the end. And while it does look cool at the end, it's just, I don't know. There's a couple scenes that are cool, but for the most part, the action's kind of forgettable, in my opinion. And... like I keep mentioning throughout this review, is that the movie gets a little too goofy. Like, it does. Like, there's a whole relationship between Ned and some other student. I forgot her name. Betty, I think. Who's also in a lot of the other Spider-Man stuff. Of course, she's from the comics, too. But she's... I don't know. That whole relationship is so stupid and goofy. You know exactly where it's going to go. It's going to end with some dumb gag. And it's just every time they showed up, I'm just like, oh my god, it's this relationship. Again, this joke, I should say. It's not really a relationship. It's just a joke. You know where it's going to go. But there's a lot of other goofy moments. Like the teacher that the kids are with, because the whole plot is about them going to Rome, to Italy or whatever. And it's just, it's, I don't know, just the whole, like, teacher thing, like, I'm a bumbling idiot, whoa. And then you have JB Smoove there, who's known to be he's a comedian, of course, so he shows up, and it's just like, I don't know, don't get me wrong, it is funny, but it's a little too goofy. It's pushing itself to parody at certain points. But the movie itself does do a good job of kind of going from Endgame, which was very, very, I mean, it had funny moments, don't get me wrong, but very, very serious, to going back to goofy, and it didn't feel like it was too jarring, you know what I mean? Especially with that opening scene. I thought the opening scene did a really good job of, like, getting you back in to, like, a goofy Marvel movie again. So that was good, I'd say. Also, another negatives, I didn't really care for the elementals, and that's mainly because I didn't really care for the action in this movie. So every time they showed up, it would be an action scene, and they would show up, and while the special effects look cool, I just thought they were kind of lame villains. That's just me personally. They don't really have any personality, so whenever they showed up, I'm just like, here's an evil dude, here's a guy made out of water, here's a guy made out of fire. They're destroying shit. Okay. It was just not really something I was really into. And another thing is, even though it does a really good job of going back to more goofy stuff, you know, that transition between serious stuff with Endgame and goofy shit with Spider-Man, that's a good transition. I do feel like when it comes to the emotional payoff, they didn't really do a good job with it here, I don't think. When it comes to the Tony and Peter relationship, there was only a couple moments where it really conveyed that relationship through emotions. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see Peter really sit there and, like, really sulk about Tony. Don't get me wrong, I didn't want to see him for, like, an hour just, like, crying. But there's, like, one scene, and it was just, like, it's a scene you see in the trailer, and there's a couple of mentions here and there. I just wanted a little bit more, you know what I mean? There was a couple good scenes, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted a little bit more. You know? Like, Endgame ended with such a big, like, whoa. And then this is the next movie in the MCU, and it's the continuation of wherever the hell the MCU is going to go in the future, and it was kind of, it was fine. Again, it was fine. It's just, I wish I saw a little bit more emotion from Peter, I guess I should say. And maybe that's the fault of the editing for this movie, because there is a couple of scenes in the trailers that are not in this movie that would have really added to that, I think. That they just cut out, I guess. But whatever. Anyway, that's really all my negatives. I mean, it's too goofy at times where I'm just like, I'm getting taken out of the movie. The action didn't blow me away. The elementals weren't my favorite villains, that's for sure. And the the emotion wasn't quite there. It was definitely more of a romp than anything else, until the end, where the mid-credit scene really does show you, like, yeah, this is this is the future of the MCU. So look forward to that. So anyway, there you go. That is it. If I had to give it a score though, because when I first came out of it, not that I was negative towards it, I was just like, you know, that was good. That just wasn't. That was like Ant-Man and the Wasp good. You know what I mean? Like it was fun. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything I'd remember. And I got a little bit more positive as the days went by. So I'm gonna give it a 32 out of 40. I think that's a fair score. Fun movie. I recommend it for sure, especially since well, you can go see this movie if you want. You can go see that. It's funny that they named this movie after the only way in hell it would actually make money, because international. All right, that's it. Goodbye.